Today we have a special guest, not in the studio, but by video link. We have fixed the dial-up modems. We have sent the messages across the internet.
The smoke messages are also sent.
Yeah, the carrier pigeons, we sent them off. They'll come back with a message. But if you're watching this on YouTube, you might be listening on Spotify. But if you're watching on YouTube, you can see we have a guest here, and it's none other than Jimmy Thistle.
Hi guys, thanks for that great introduction, both of you. And yeah, it's just lovely to be here over the smoke signals of the interweb, you know, all the way from Isle of Man, sunny Isle of Man to Sweden. Love it.
Yeah, it's a little bit smoky. But,
it is. Yeah. Recording on one of the warmest days of the year. We don't know when this is going to come out, but if your computer is melted and you're just watching it by the light of your fridge, we hope the podcast finds you well. We're going to be talking today all things creativity with Jimmy, who has a few different things out in different ways and a few different years of different creative processes.
Yeah. So we're going to pick your brain about creativity.
I love it, guys. Yeah, I'm an addict by design, you know, so I love doing creative things and I love having many irons in the fire, as it were, even though we don't want to do that on today's temperature. So
no, not a good idea.
No, exactly. But you said you're on the Isle of Man now recording, but I think if our listeners can hear, you've got a Scottish accent. And if I was going to guess what part of the country of Scotland, I'd say more the west coast. That'd be correct.
That would be very correct, Marcus. Yeah, I was born just outside Glasgow. Well, I was born in Glasgow, but we lived in a little village outside Glasgow called Eaglesham, and I grew up there. Yeah, I grew up there. It was beautiful countryside, beautiful childhoods, you know, nothing untoward. We did live in Greece for a couple of years when I was 12 till I was about 14.
Wow.
So my parents broke up when I was about 6, and then my mum got remarried, and my stepdad took us off to Greece for 2 years. I hated it. I was like, I just started high school. Why have you taken me to this godforsaken country? And
yeah, it's a very sensitive age to move and just to be completely somewhere different.
Just started high school. I was there for 6 months, and then I was uprooted and moved. Do you know what? I did enjoy it at the end. I got and then we had to come back home to, you know, sunny Scotland. So I think because I'm 6'3", and when I went away, I was quite short. And then I came back from Greece and I was like 6 foot at 14. So I think it was some kind of greenhouse effect going on there. So that was good. Yeah.
People were like, you came back as a giant. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, came back as a Viking.
Really Jimmy who's come back?
Yeah. Who is this? Who is this long guy?
Who is this long guy? Absolutely. So yeah.
Thinking about like creativity and Scotland. I mean, obviously, I'm not out of term here saying that Edinburgh is sort of like the culture capital of Scotland. A lot of people would say that from the outside, with the Fringe Festival and everything, but and Glasgow traditionally maybe more like the working town and maybe more of the industries and sort of a grey sort of city. I have a lot of family from Scotland, from Glasgow area as well, so I think I'm safe in saying that.
Oh, absolutely. But I think what you're saying there, Marcus, if you listen to what you're saying the industry, the industrial heart of Scotland. Like, listen to where a lot of the art comes from. It's the downtrodden, it's the working classes, it's the, you know, obviously you've got your kind of, I don't know, like really eccentric rich people, you know, they've got art coming as well. But that's where the real art comes from, the kind of poverty, the struggle, the real heart of a country. And yeah, okay, Edinburgh's got all that going for it with the Fringe Festival and the historical city. But yeah, I think in my mind where art comes from struggle. I mean, that's maybe just me, but I think it really does come from struggle. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that too, or at least from growth. Like like in resistance is where you grow. So, and when you grow, you get ideas, and then you can also tell a story, like from where you're from to where you are going or what you're doing. Yeah, it is great.
Yeah. And going back to that, I'm not saying that I was, you know, like growing up in absolute abstract poverty in Glasgow. I'm not saying that as well. But like the thing is, Glasgow does. And do you know what? Like back when I was living there, it wasn't an arty hub. They had the art school, which actually the art school was a really nice, really good nightclub back in the day, like in the 90s. It was bizarre because it was the art school during the day, and then at night they basically would just let people in, and you could wander around the classrooms. There'd be DJs in different rooms and all that kind of stuff going on. So it was bizarre. But now Glasgow is completely had a facelift. You know what I mean? A lot of the old industry's gone, and it's been replaced by this huge influx of creativity, new funding from the Scottish government, and all of this going on. So yeah, the thing is though, I left Glasgow when I was 18. And then like I'd lived in Aberdeen for a few years, and then I went down south. So I was down in England for like 20 odd years. So yeah, so I know Marcus is looking, he's like, oh, my questions are geared up for Glasgow, and it's like, I did not know this. I didn't get the memo.
15 different questions about Glasgow, about specific streets and stations.
So many questions. One question is, does the Scottish men actually have something underneath the kilt? I know, no, it's okay. I know that everyone is asking that, so I'm not gonna. But I really love Scotland. I went with my my oldest daughter, and we went to Edinburgh, and then we took a bus around the Highlands, and we got to feed the haricots, and it was really nice. I love that.
Yeah, Scotland's a beautiful country. I've been back a couple of times in 20 years. I know I should have been back a lot more than that. But you know what? It's not like it's difficult to get to, but my family's spread out. They're all over. Yeah. They're over here. They're in England and things like that. So I just didn't have a lot of time to go back up to Scotland. As I say, I've been back a few times, but yeah, it's my main. I guess I'm a bit of a hobo, you know, a bit of a kind of what's the word? Hobo, I guess, you know, like the littlest hobo, just traveling about and trying to get into different aspects of life and things like that. We'll get into that later. I think there's a term for it in my line of issues called geographicals. So as long as you keep moving to the next place, I'm still there. So I go to the next place and think, oh yeah, I'm going to start fresh. Life's going to be
It's going to be totally new. Yeah.
But then this is still here. So, you know, you're not really making a huge change. But yeah. So I'm just going to say, like when I went down, so I did a bit of college in Aberdeen when I lived up there. And it was kind of marketing, advertising, and I hated it. But I used a camera, and I'd been interested in photography since I was about maybe 14. I got my first camera, and it was obviously an old film, you know, 35mm camera. So I did a bit of photography up there, and then I left, quit college, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, when I moved to England, moved to Cambridgeshire, and there was a college course there that I inadvertently had to go to because I was doing a forklift driving job, and I lost my driver's license through drink driving. And the job that I had, the job that I had, we had to drive the forklift over a highway, public highway. And they were like, yeah, we can't employ you without a driver's license. I was like, oh, bugger. So then my stepdad was like, well, what are you going to do now? And I was like, I don't know, man, like, just stop being a drag. And I was like, what about, and he goes, what about going back to college? And I was like, I'd done 2 college courses at this time. I was 21, and I'd done one in Glasgow, hated it, quit it. Done one in Aberdeen, hated it, quit it. Then I saw one in Huntingdon in Cambridgeshire, and it was just purely photography. And I was like, okay, this could be right up my street. So I kind of took that whole losing the license thing as a bit of a,
like, you know,
like a motivation, or
like this is a kind of blessing in disguise, really. So yeah, wow. And I didn't have a car, so I could drink as much as I wanted then. So yeah.
Wow. But did you have like a portfolio ready to show, like, for enrolling in this course? Did you have to like provide your things, or was it a case of just you show up with enthusiasm?
It's funny you had to ask that, Marcus. I'm actually writing a book at the moment, and I have been doing it for about 6 years, but I just literally life got in the way, and I was like, no. So I've started it again the last couple of months, and today I was writing that chapter about, you know, losing the license, getting to college. So it's interesting. So it's fresh in my head. Basically, the lecturer who became like one of my mentors, I went in for this little interview, and he said, can you bring along some photographs that you've done? Yeah. So I had like this box of photos like in a drawer somewhere from Aberdeen, and I was really proud of them. Like, I think my girlfriend at the time when I was up in Aberdeen, she'd had them up on the wall and everyone was going, oh, these are great. And I was like, oh, you know, these, I like these black and whites and all that. And he took one look at them and he goes, yeah, we can definitely improve on these, and then just put them over there. And I was like, but he was right. They were shit, you know. Like,
well, that's good though, but he's seeing the potential to improve. He's not saying like, could you leave my college and just don't come back? I don't care if you haven't got a driving license. Here's money for a taxi.
But
no,
we also
he's like, come back, you can improve.
But we also talked about like being young and getting that sort of critique like early on that can deteriorate the inspiration and like, oh, I'm never gonna do this.
I think I was more like, well, fuck you, I'm going to show you kind of thing. I can do better. So probably that's what he wanted and that's what he got, because I did end up being student of the year and got triple distinction. It was like an HND, my final major project. I'd gone to New York and I was just doing like street photography, so stopping random strangers in the street. So this would have been 2004. So it was literally like 3 years after 9/11. And I was just stopping random strangers in the street and just saying, like, I'm going to take one shot of you. All I need is your name, your age, and your occupation. I wished I'd got their addresses or phone numbers, because this is like, what, 22 years ago. 22 years ago. So, I mean, some of them, they won't still be with us because they were old then, you know. So, it'd be interesting to see, like, what some of them look like now. So, yeah. So I did that. I did New York, and then I went to London and did the same kind of similar thing, and then just did a kind of, you know, contrast between the two. And yeah, so I did well in that and came out of there with the Student of the Year. I was quite chuffed. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you grew a couple of inches more then?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, absolutely. Cool. And then I guess, is this okay? Do you want me to just keep rambling on?
Keep on rambling, yeah.
So I was looking for jobs, and I was like, I need to get a job in photography, you know, but that's not an easy thing to do, and it's really not. And then I was working in this factory, and I kind of was just fed up with it. It was shit, and I was like, and I left at lunchtime one day, walked over to my college, and actually, like, since leaving that factory, I saw a few guys in the pub like a couple of months later, and they were like, what happened to you? You didn't tell anyone you weren't coming back? And they said, actually, now when we get temps in and they don't come back after lunch, it's called doing a Jimmy. So I was like, okay. So I went over to my college and I spoke to my old lecturer and I said, listen, man, this is killing me over there. You need to get me a photography job. And he said, oh, like, we got this email this morning for this company in Cambridge, blah, blah, blah. Send them an email. So I did. And then I sent another email, and then another email, and another email. And every time I'd send these emails, it kept on bumping my CV to the top of this pile, where eventually Casey became one of my really close friends when I got the job. You know, we worked together for like 3 years. She was like, every time you email, I kept on having to put your CV up and going to her, like, our main photographer, going, you have to see this guy. Please let him stop pestering me. So it did work, you know, the pestering. Yeah. And it was a good job. But the problem with that was I stagnated a little bit in my photography because it was product photography. Like, I had my own studio, I had all these lights, I had brand new digital cameras, all of this stuff. Because I was shooting handbags, luggage. Yeah,
so you had like a very limited kind of subject matter to photography, but you had all the things, you had all the inspiration,
all the equipment,
all the creativity,
all the creativity to my hands. But because I was doing it as a job, 9 to 5. By the time I got finished from my work, I was just like, I can't be bothered doing it anymore. I did a little bit at evenings and weekends, but really not what I should have been doing. My creative spark really just went out of me from that point. And that's really where my kind of drinking kind of really started taking off, you know. And I always thought, you know, if you're creative and arty, drinking, you know, drugs is kind of goes hand in hand and all of that. And that was kind of my ethos for many, many years. You know, I remember even when I started trying my hand at writing, and I think it's Ernest Hemingway said, oh, you should write drunk and edit sober. It's absolute rubbish, because I couldn't write it when I was drinking. Do you know what I mean? I look at it the next day and I was like, I don't even know what word that is, you know.
And we were talking about substances, as well in one podcast, and like, it can help with the limiting beliefs
taking down
you have.
the barriers that you put around yourself to
Yeah.
get through to start something.
To
but
start
then
something.
after that, it usually is not
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
Yeah.
And then when you look at it later, it's like you said, like, what did I even mean by this? Yeah.
Yeah. It was really, you know, and also I thought, well, you know, I was thinking I'd made it, you know, in the world because I was working as a photographer. I'd
Right.
done all this stuff, and I was like, so I kind of took my foot off the pedal, and I kind of
Right.
like stagnated, whereas I should have been really kind of just going for it, using that studio all weekend long, doing portraits, doing arty stuff, blah blah blah, all of that stuff. But I wasn't. I was just like, I've worked all week, I've taken photos all week, and now I'm gonna go and get pissed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a really big eye opener. Well, I mean, it took me like 20 odd years to work it out, but it really did kind of like stunt my creativity for many years, you know. And I thought I was still doing stuff, and I think there was the odd time where, I mean, over the years I've still put output out there, and it's just lackluster. Do you know what I mean? Like, I thought at the time, oh, that's a really good picture, but it'd be like one in a blue moon. It wasn't like a consistency of, you know, putting stuff out. But yeah, where it really came back to me was 2020 when I got sober. I moved back to Isle of Man during COVID, and yeah, my family had moved here, and I got an exemption to come in because they'd pretty much closed their borders. You know, they were doing the right thing and just stopping people coming in, but I got this exemption to come over, and you know, I had a few more relapses, but then in August 2020 I got sober, and that's still my kind of sober date, 19th of August. And yeah, I started going out and exploring the island. Now, Marcus, you'll know, man, this place is magical. It's an absolute,
It truly is.
It's steeped in folklore and fantasy and history, but it doesn't even matter if you're not interested in that. There's a vibe, there's a feeling in this place, and it's giving me goosebumps just thinking about it. And
I really need to go there.
I put a lot of my sobriety down to, like, I'm not taking away from the fact that I did the work, but a lot of my sobriety is down to being back here, being back on this island, and almost needed to kind of, I use the word hermitize. It's not a word, but I use it. So when I moved up to Craignish, and I found this little cottage, a little thatched cottage up in the hills here, and you know, it's not miles from anywhere, but it's like 10 minutes from Port Erin, but it feels like you're in the middle of nowhere. And it's like,
it does, it really does.
And that was the time when I started realizing that I, like a lot of people, was searching for distraction. You know, I didn't like the noise in my head, so I needed to turn that off, and that's where I went to the drink and the drugs and all that. But when I moved up there, I was like, I don't even want a TV in this place. Like, I had my laptop if I wanted to watch a film, but I would most of the time just put that away, put my phone off, you know, and just be and learn to be.
Oh, I love that.
With me, you know, and learn to be okay with that, because that's why we're so, and don't get me wrong, I scroll on my phone, but I've done my penitence, you know, I've learned to be okay with myself, so I'm okay to scroll now. But for a long time, like, I needed to cut myself off for about a year and just be, and a lot of my photography that I was doing kind of came out of that at that point. Got an exhibition, and I was doing, like, it was a weird type of photography that it's quite big now, but I was not saying I was like a trailblazer or anything like that. It's like finding the beauty in the banal, you know. I think they call it banalography. So it's like, yeah, it's just like there's so much beauty around us, like in a traffic light, or, you know, I don't know, the back of a signpost, things like that just have some kind of meaning or beauty, or the angles are right, or whatever. Yeah.
And then you've got some of the old closed down shops or businesses in Port St Mary around that one, and it's fascinating walking around just a place like Port St Mary. For people who don't know, listening, who are not from the Isle of Man, it's like the main town next to Craignish, where everyone was living. But there's so much like history there. You can see generations of businesses, of life, of old hotels. It was a hotel place as well before. And you can, as you're saying, the colours of something that could be very mundane. Because I've seen some of your pictures on your website there, which are available to buy as well, by the way, as prints. Bring me back, because it's places I walked by when I was growing up. And I can see that you've captured something there in the colours and in the light.
But thanks, man. And it's, you know what? It's interesting because I started doing, like, I had a few exhibitions, and then I was like, oh, somebody said, why don't you do a pop-up? And I was like, what's that? And they were like, I'll just do like a pop-up market. So I started getting really involved in like the craft markets around here. And it was great. It's a really good social way of me coming out and not having to meet people through drinking. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, because I wasn't interested in going to the pubs and chatting to someone that was like 3-4 pints in. So it was a really good way of me kind of making my step back into society and socializing. Like, I wasn't a complete hermit. Like, I still saw people. I went to meetings and I had my work and all of that. But it was just a really good way of doing that. And then I would get people coming up and having a look through the pictures, and they'd be like, oh, where's that? And I'd be like, oh, it's Port Erin or Port St Mary or Ramsey. And they're like, whereabouts? And I'll tell them, and then they're like, really? Because they walk past it every day, but they don't notice what I've picked out of that particular like doorway or street corner or something like that. So and it was,
I'm like the same way, but with my coaching, like finding the little sparkly bits inside someone that they don't see themselves. Like, can you look at this? This is like beautiful. And they're like, wow, maybe. yeah.
I love that. Like they it's good to be, they probably know it's there, but then to be shown it by someone else, it's like, oh that's amazing. Yeah. What kind of coaching
that's
do you
what
do?
You're
Sorry,
doing.
Camilla?
So I do emotional release therapy, and also like coaching for business and management and stuff. Yeah. But like finding the full potential of a person, like helping them figure out what does make me tick. What is my like inspiration and my passion? So that is I really love that.
And I think, you know what, like all the stuff I learned in sobriety, whether it be from, the NA fellowship or smart meetings or anything like that, or books I've read or podcasts I've listened to, it's all of this stuff. It's not just for people that are struggling with alcohol or grey area drinking, whatever you want to call it. It's like, these are life lessons for everyone,
Yes.
And the more that I learned, like, I think it's either Brandon Novak or one of the other, I know Brandon Novak wasn't in Jackass, but he kind of hung about with them. It was either him or the other guy. And he said, I'm so glad that I drank and used drugs so much that I had to quit, because otherwise I would have just had this slow, steady decline of my life. Whereas when I had to make that stop, now my life is just so much better, full of creativity, full of life and abundance. And it's like, he had to go through that dark time to kind of come out the other end. Because if I was still drinking, like maybe if it hadn't become a problem, I would still be doing it, but not doing any photography or any of the other stuff that I'm gonna flourish you guys with in a minute. You know what I mean? It's like it didn't just stop with the photography.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it sounded like you sort of created a persona for yourself when you were in England there, that you were, okay, I work in photography, so I've ticked that box in my creativity. I'm an artist, so I can go out drinking after work and at weekends. And sort of like, I've made this and this is who I am. But in that, you're limiting your creativity. You're limiting what am I potentially going to do. But now that you've found sobriety, you've moved to a different place, which the Isle of Man has a lot of wonderful things, and as you said, it encourages creativity if that's what you're looking for. Then you can be like, okay, you can explore, because you've got your podcast, which is there, and your shorts and your reels and your all the different things that have you seen a few of these as well?
I have.
You've got so many different things that are going on.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. So when I was in the UK, well, my birth name was James Weir. So my family name's Weir, and I was Jim. I called myself Jim from like school. So everyone in the UK knows me as Jim Weir. That Jim Weir that left the company eBags in around 2008, came over here for a couple of years, worked in a bank, went back to London, did a few moving about from London to Leeds to York to Hull. That was all just temping work in boring grey offices, and just, do you know what I mean? Like not really doing anything with my life. Like, I did have a nice time and I met like amazing people. I had some great relationships, but it wasn't up here. Do you know what I mean? It was just kind of middle of the road greyness. And that was Jim Weir. So when I came over here, I was like, Jim, I don't know. That's that Jim Weir. That's the drinker. I don't want to be that person anymore. So I started becoming Jimmy, and then I was like, my gardening company was Thistle Gardening, because obviously Scottish thistle, blah blah blah. One man's weeds, another man's flower of Scotland. And then I was like, so my photography at that point was Jimmy Weir or Jim Weir Photography, which sounds grey and bland anyway. So I was like, so then I was like, I need a logo, and I was thinking about a logo. And then I thought, well, why don't I change the name to Jimmy Thistle Photo? And it's just got, it was like, as soon as I said that in my head, I was like, that's got that ring to it.
Yeah.
And then that's when it kind of started like taking off, and people started to get to know me a bit on the island, and I did a lot of stuff for charity. So when we were engaged, and Jen's eldest daughter said, Jen, what name are you going to take on when you get married? And we were both a bit like, oh, shit, yeah. So like, she said, well, Weir doesn't really mean anything to me. Like, I don't know. I don't think of you as Jimmy Weir. And I was like, no, I know what you mean. And I said, right, what if I change my name to Thistle, like by deed poll, like legally? Wow. Would you go with Thistle? And she was like, yeah, let's become the Thistles. So
that's wonderful.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, creating a new life, a new relationship with a new name.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Galvanizing everything. Yeah.
It's kind of like, shedding of an old skin and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of like, this was the kind of Phoenix from the Flames type thing. So it was like, and I thought, well, do you know what? Like, let's just do it legally, so it's done. Yeah. And that's a bit of a ball ache to change everything, passports and driver's license, bank accounts. But it's done now. It's been over a year now. So yeah. Wow. So that's where the kind of name comes from, and now it's like. Yeah, like the worst thing was, I think, was going to go and tell my parents, especially my dad, and I thought they're going to go. But they were like, yeah, cool, whatever. What's in the name? If it makes you happy. So, all right, cool. Wow. So I still have Weir as in one of my middle names, but actually I changed. The only person that calls me James is my mum. Yeah. So I was like, I changed that as well. So legally, I'm just Jimmy. My other middle name's Weir Thistle. So yeah. So it was kind of like. Full circle, I suppose, and
it feels like an embodiment of the Jimmy. Like it just growing in the name.
Exactly, it's growth, and it's like and I think if people stay the same, I don't know if you can hear that plane going overhead. That's just Mimi coming back to the island. It's people who are like, there's no plane. No, there was a plane. Sorry, what were we saying there?
No, about
just growing into like Thistle or Jimmy, or growing into the new.
Yeah, and I think I just embodied it, and I think my photography really kind of that once I changed the name and all that, it really kind of took off and things like that, and then I don't know why I stopped. I wouldn't say. Well, I have stopped. I haven't taken pictures for a while. Life gets in the way, but I'm not saying life as in family life. That's obviously busy, getting married and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not saying that stopped my photography. I'd last, not Christmas there, the Christmas before, I was like, I've been wanting to do a podcast for a long, long time, and I was like, I did start a little bit of a podcast on my own, because I used to do, like, I would say they're short, long form, like videos on YouTube. So it'd be me talking about recovery, alcoholism, all that kind of stuff. They'd be like 14, 15 minute long. Maybe sometimes they'd get up to about half an hour. And I did loads of them on YouTube for a bit at the beginning. And then I put them into a podcast, but they were good on YouTube, but then it didn't do anything in the podcast. And then I left it for like 4 years. And then that Christmas 24 to 25, I was like, right, I'm going to do it. And I just had the idea. I came up with the name After Hours with Jimmy Thistle, because it's like, okay, after hours as in the after party, but also after the drinking, after the using and all that. It's the after hours now. We're drinking coffee. We're getting real with it. So I came up with the name, and then I was like, right, now I need a guest. So I was like, fuck. So I got my friend Joe, who's over here, and we went into a cafe in town, Windsor Cafe, and we just recorded it, and the sound is shit. There's plates crashing in the back and all of that, but it was good to get it done. And then I just started going over all my contacts on Instagram, and people were just really responsive and just wanted to do it. So because I know there's like a million recovery podcasts out there, But I just thought, well, I can add another one to the list, and
you're getting real about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing we've talked about before, is that people, they have inspiration, they have ideas, but our society, maybe with social media, tells us, oh, there's already so many people doing that. Whereas we shouldn't think of that at all. We should think, especially with the creativity you're doing, because it's helping people. You're thinking of a new idea, but ultimately your goal is, how can I reach more people to help them on their journey of sobriety? And I'm going to say, from personal experience, I've been listening to your podcasts, following your reels. I mean, you've been helping me quite a lot on my journey that I'm on. So,
and I believe a lot of like manifestation and vibes and universe and everything, and the other. And what I think is that, and we've also talked about this, like in creativity, we attract, I think, what we put out. So if we put out a certain frequency or a certain vibe, then we're going to attract people who need that, who wants that in their life. And that's going to grow however it grows, but it grows organically because that's what they need, or that's what they are manifesting.
Yeah. And I know that it's never going to be, the Joe Rogan experience or whatever. It's never going to get like huge numbers. Yeah. It might do. That's not why I do it. I love doing it, and I was only going to do, I thought I'm going to do 25 episodes for the first season, and then I'll have a bit of a break. I think I had like a week off. So I was doing pretty much flat out for a year last year. And then I was like, so I had 2 weeks off at Christmas. Then I started up again in January. I just finished the last series like 4 weeks ago, and the new series started on Monday there. So I kind of like had 2 weeks off. I just love doing it, and it's not like it's hard work. Like, as you guys know, like if you enjoy doing it, then
it comes from a place of joy, or a place of inspiration, and place of creativity. Yeah.
And if I can help like 1 or 2 people with the podcast,
that's
like
huge.
Mark, you're saying it's helping you, that's me done. Do you know what I mean? If I'm helping one person, then I can do it. It's not costing me a huge deal to put it out. I've upgraded my equipment since the beginning, and that's just my own personal fund that's done that, because I was like, okay, I can upgrade this now. I'm like I'm earning money in my other job, so it's fine to do that. But if for some mad miracle I end up doing it as a living, then wow, that's even better, because then I can put out more and more and more, like put out 2-3 a week, that's the kind of dream. But
and just to affect a lot of more people, like and have more ideas. And that's the thing with creativity, it feeds more creativity.
Yeah, it's exactly it. It's very rare that like, okay, I've got this idea for a podcast, and then we'll just focus on that. I want to do this one as well. I've got this idea as well. This one works. So I've got
to talk about this also, because this is it feeds
but
a lot
that's
of
the thing. It's like doing that. And it was like, right, now I've got the podcast running, and I've got it, I know what I'm doing now. And it's got better over I had to listen to, I had a bit of an editing issue. A song that I'd chosen, which was copyright free at one point last year, was like, oh no, and you now have to pay for it. And I was like, so Spotify were like, we're going to remove this episode. So I had to go through every single one, remove it, put a new one in, and then so I was going back and listening to a lot of the old episodes, and I was like, the sound quality is so shit, Obviously now with the new mic, it's much better. But the thing is, I enjoy doing it, and I think, like you're saying, the creativity of it, and it's learning how to develop the questions and get more out of your guests, and more what the listeners and the viewers want. And so I was like, once I got the podcast to kind of happy level, I was like, what more can I do? So a friend of mine who does another podcast, he was like, well, I've done my sober coaching with a lady called Janie Lee Grace, who used to be she was a backing singer for Wham back in the day. And then she was on BBC Radio 2 with Steve Wright. And she's sober, and she does sober coaching. So she teaches sober coach training. And I was like, right, I'm going to do that. And I had to do it online. So there was a few of them met over in England. But I was like, no, I'll just stay on the island if I can do that. She was like, yeah, fine. So I did it through Zoom and all the rest of it. So I just completed that about 2-3 weeks ago. And
Wow.
You've already opened up your own business site for that, really, haven't you? So that's already on there. So there's nothing slowing you down, Jimmy. It's just
and then
next thing. It's great.
I know, and this is the thing. And although I've built the website through Squarespace, I don't know if you've heard of that. It's like a website building thing. As much as they say, oh, it's tailor-made and all that, it's really not. You have to do a lot of the work yourself, and like all the SEO stuff and all the the actual background of the website. You've got to do all that stuff. You can get someone to do it, but I like doing this myself. Do you know what I mean? So I just spent an entire weekend just holed up in the studio. And I didn't really see Jen and the kids, and I did it, and I was like really chuffed with it. And I sent it to a mate of mine who has he's built this AI tool that you can put a website through it and it will come back with all the things that are wrong with it. And he sent me back a 16-page thing, and I was like,
you're like, I'm going to close the laptop for today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
And do you know what, Marcus? I closed the laptop down for like maybe an evening, and then the next evening I was back on it. I was like, right, I need to get this up and running. Yeah. And it was like, and that's the thing. Like, I used to go out and I would take photos and I would like go and put them on the computer or whatever and look at them, and then I'd be like, do you know when you're editing like 100 pictures and you're like, I need to get away from this, and then you come back with fresh eyes and you're like, oh, do you know what, I see something in that picture that I didn't see before. So like the website that I'd built originally, I just threw it up, and like, but then when I kind of went back in, took his advice and reconstructed it, it was much better. So I was thankful for him. It still needs a bit of work to it, but it's out there now, and that's the thing. So I'm just waiting for people to phone me up now and set a meeting. So I haven't really been pushing it that hard yet. But
we'll put the links and we'll put the things on here. Definitely.
And also the site with the pictures where you can buy pictures. That's also what we want to show you.
We're going to add all the links here. I was thinking that what you were saying before as well about you making a persona for yourself, or like what you've become now with the name. I can find similarities with like the business that I'm in with the professional wrestling.
Absolutely.
Because you've got the similar one with your one, but it's your first name, or James is now Jimmy, but it is your name, as you're known as, and Thistle. So my wrestling character is Marcus of Man, but Marcus is my real first name, but it's a character. But it's kind of like which is which, which can be difficult as well on Instagram and things. I don't know if you find this. But your persona you've created as your creative outlet, I mean, it is you, but it's also an aspect of you. It's the same thing that I find, but you find like, okay, is this Jimmy Thistle or James?
Well, to be honest, I have a big social media presence, but it's not really my private life, if that makes sense. Like from time to time, I will put pictures of Jen and I on, never put any of the kids on there. But it's mostly just about the recovery for that side. So there's the photography one, there's Recovery Jimmy, which is, it's all about the recovery. My Facebook page is, it's Jimmy Thistle, and it's a lot of friends, but the only time I ever really post there is mostly just from stuff from Instagram. So I know what you're saying, but honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't really have a lot of my personal stuff on there. Like, of course it's personal because it's all about me and it's all about my recovery and all that. Yeah. But like, I don't put on. I mean, did I post? I'll probably post a picture of like when we go on holiday, but it won't be about the holiday. It'll be more about recovery, because it'll be a nice photo from like Madeira. We were there a few weeks ago, so it'll be a nice photo from there, but I won't be saying, oh, we did this and we did that. And it's not because I don't like, it's not, I'm saying I don't like when people do that. It's just not what I do anymore. You know, I think I used to bombard the internet with all my personal boring shit.
I think that is also so that what you were saying, I found that, I mean, I've worked with a lot of in IT and management and stuff like that, and I find that I have a before and after. I did this journey, or my healing journey. So what happened was, before, when I was younger, I had also different personalities being at the work. Like I have a professional side, and then I have my personal side, and then I have my family side, and then I have, like, I was different people, almost in different types. Like, and what I did was I read a book called The Way of Integrity of Martha Beck. And she is describing this year she had where she was not lying, not even a single white lie, just no lying at all. And so I started that. I was like, no, I'm just gonna go into this and see, like, where am I lying to myself in my life? Like, when someone asks me if I'm like how I am, if I say I'm good, am I really, or am I tired, or am I happy or sad or whatever? Like, can I be myself in all aspects of my life, like all arenas of my life? Can I be truly me? So that was a testing I had for a year, and I can really feel like the shedding of the different aspects, or the different personas, or like, it was like a diamond with different shades, but I just shaved them off and just became like one. Yeah, it was really really cool.
Like the true core of yourself.
No, I love that. And it's The Way of Integrity by who, sorry?
Martha Beck.
Martha Beck. I'm going to look that up because I love stuff like that. And it's interesting because, like, we lie all the time. And it's not like, we're not talking about barefaced lies and all that. It's like little white lies. When someone says, how are you? And you're like, you feel like shit, but you're like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Like, we automatically do it.
Yeah, and also like the thought of, why am I doing this? Why am I not being completely honest? Or like when I feel something, like instead of just brushing it off, like saying, hey, something happened here and it feels like this. And like see what happens. And people I find like, you shed a lot of bad vibes. You shed a lot
and I'm sure
a
lot of baggage as well, because you'll probably come home and you think, why did I say that to that person? Like, why did I just lie about that? But another thing on the similar stretch of that is, you know, we all have different personalities, as in, you know, like my wife will see this version of me that she sees, but then my friend will see a different version of the one that they see and what they think of me. And then my mum will be this one that she thinks of me. So we all have these different personas, that what we have ourselves is what we think of ourselves, but everyone else thinks they've got a different opinion on what they think, but that's their own opinion, you know? And it's
but
like,
the thing I found after that year was that it actually depends on like how I am in those different, so like if I actually am the true core of myself they are going to describe me the same. And that was what I found after a year. I was like, this is cool. They don't see me differently. They see me the same. Like I am the same in every aspect now. But it takes courage. It's not for everyone. I'm just saying. But yeah, it's cool.
Well,
I'm maybe not going to try it straight away, you know, because you know I have customers that I need to look after. You know.
My idea is though, like I've created a character which I use, or several different ones depending what I'm doing, and you've created the Jimmy Thistle brand character, a new name. It is based on you, but do you find you can get to different levels of creativity because you know this is not a character essentially, but I say a persona, a part of you? Do you feel you can disassociate from the you?
I mean, I think almost this persona is like almost like a superpower. Do you know what I mean? Because like, whereas when I was back doing my photography in Cambridge, I felt like I'd made it and I took my foot off the pedal, you know, off the gas. Whereas now I feel like, you know, and maybe it's my sobriety and all of that, I feel like I'm gonna try anything. Do you know what I mean? I'll give it a go because there's no point.
Maybe the drinking was giving you a false superpower. You thought you had this. You reckon you had that, but then it wasn't real. There was nothing tangible. This, you've created something that's real.
Yeah. Like, and also, like, I think back in the day, like I would probably try my hand at things and then either get bored or it would be crap because, well, I was drinking, you know, and I'd kind of do a half-arsed job. Whereas now I'm like, you know what? If I work at it and I do it kind of logically and think, well, I don't want it, because I used to maybe take on a lot more than I could handle because I was drinking and all of that. Yeah. Whereas now I was like, right, I've got the podcast running and then I'm going to do this sober coaching thing while it's kind of, you know, we've not got a lot going on with the kids and all that. It's not summer holiday. It was a good time to do it. It was between March and April. I think it went on to May, and then that was that done. So it wasn't even that I needed to start the sober coaching straight away, but maybe me, I was like, yeah, I'll just get the website done, put that out. And then my next thing was like, now I'm going to really focus on the book. So I'd started writing this book back in COVID times. Like I was in rehab and they'd given you these like books to journal in. So I just started writing this like COVID diary, and I wrote like 15,000 words at that time.
Wow.
And then I just stopped and I just kind of focused on my recovery. Every now and then I would go back to it and I would maybe write like a paragraph, and then I would go, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't inspired, I wasn't feeling it. And then I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about writers and then people in recovery and then how they got their book out. And I was like, right, you've just got to make time for it. Do you know what I mean? Like make time for it and do it. So I've got a really good little system going now where, like, as I say, the sober coaching stuff, that's all out of the way. I've got free time. The podcast taking care of itself, fine. And what I'll do is, like, I've got one drive up north that I do once a week. So I just switch my phone on to like memo or dictaphone, whatever it is.
Oh wow!
And I just, because I know the story. I'm not like, this is not fiction. I'm not making it up. Like the story's all up there. It's just getting it down on paper. So what is it? I just dictaphone it into my phone, all the drive up and then all the drive back, and then I just spend the rest of the week editing it. You know, like once I put it on the screen, I can go, because there's lots of filler words like I'm talking to myself, going like this, and do you know what I mean? And this, like how I talk, but that's not good for a book. So it's a really good way of doing it, and I'm now up to like 50,000 words. So yeah. Okay. So my plan is to have it written like first draft by Christmas. So we'll see. But it's weird because I'm going
to reading it.
Yeah, thank you. But me too. I'm going into the past, and then I'm like.